Hey, just wanted to do a quick update. I know that the last West Marches video that we did went over the Treant Grove that we created together with the Vila, and then we actually created the entire problem of Saba the Jade Serpent and Saba's basically children, for lack of a better term. I just wanted to give an update that went really well. What we wrote, you can see it right here. It didn't take long to prep, and it actually worked for 2 sessions, each being about 3 hours. So this was 6 hours of content, and I didn't really have to riff a lot of it. I had my motivation for all of the characters, so really I was obviously ad-libbing the conversations and answering the questions, but it just gave a much easier for me to answer these questions because I was in the headspace of these characters when doing so. And otherwise, it turned out that the fights weren't terribly difficult for them. There was a couple knocks unconscious. I don't generally consider, dropping to 0 as a guide on whether or not a challenge was good. It really is me feeling what the room is like, and obviously we're on Discord when doing this, but the idea that is there conversation about how they're having difficulty and things like that, and I think the conversation was perfect, where they were having to make meaningful decisions in every fight to deal with it. They had choices to make. There were consequences for their decisions, and they understood that. So the fights went really well, especially the final fight. They did engage with Saba. They decided to, because I attempted to play them with Saba, that if they help her, she will give them treasures and things like that. But ultimately, she would be lying to them and would likely take over the Treant Grove and get more of these seeds to create more gnarlwoods. And this would increase her number of minions and her power. And then she would probably move on to take over more, as she would be wont to do. But the players, after meeting her, opted to tell the truth to the Treants, which is not, I expected something like that. And then what was a little bit more surprising is when they went back to Saba, they opted to tell the truth to Saba about what happened. That infuriated her, and being that they're in her lair and she was prepared for most things, she was able to pull her trap, which was another gnarlwood and more of the unhatched. All the while, she's jumping in and out of the canopy, breath weaponing them, and eventually would have started grabbing people and taking them up to the sky and just basically tossing them. But the fight did not last long enough for her to do that. The minions got dealt with within probably about 4 or 5 turns, and the wizard in the party was able to force wall her. So they used a hemisphere to trap her as she came landing down. She was having a tendency of landing down, using a couple of her attacks, legendary actions, and then taking off again. To get so that nobody could really hit her. And she went the entire fight without being hit until that force cage surrounded her. He readied the spell. He took the risk of readying that high-level spell, and it worked out for him. Then they knew that they had a very short time to make a plan, heal up. They were very hurt, so the 2 clerics in the party were healing up, and the wizard maintained the spell going on. All the while, Saba is attempting to basically break deals about letting her free and giving things. All the while, she's using her ability to manipulate the growth of plants to cover her tracks that she's actually digging behind them, using her wings and flora to keep that hidden. The barbarian was smart enough that he actually was doing perimeter checks around the force cage, or rather the wall of force, so he was actually able to see the trap. But she's smart. She uses this as an attempt to pull him in and kill at least one of them before, while inside the force wall, so that nobody could help him. But he, being a barbarian, he sees a lot of things coming. He made it safe to not be pulled underneath from the burrowing and the softened soil from the roots that she was using, to use her tail to grab and pull him in. So he avoided that. She dug her way out and was basically just going to bounce out. She took a couple hits on the way out, just because, prone state as she's digging out. but it wasn't enough to kill her. And she had nothing left as an army, so she was just going to take off and fly. But the rogue in the party decided to hitch a ride and basically rode her 100 feet into the air before some blind lightning from the wizard was actually able to hit on some lucky rolls. That was really good. But the help from the rogue forcing some noise out of it, so they not so blind that they couldn't find where it was at. But he did some tricky moves around, and together they were able to take down Saba. And he did some makeshift working, cutting some of the membrane between the wings as he was falling to create a paraglider, and made a bunch of rolls. I told him, like, yeah, you can try it. It's going to be really tough. I made him do 3 separate rolls for 3 different skills. And then for landing, I did the exact same thing. And for most of the rolls, he did very well. He still almost went unconscious from the landing. He took some significant fall damage, but he made it. He survived. He helped take down this dragon that was definitely going to flee. That's one of the big things about dragons, is that I've yet to have, with the exception of maybe when I was earlier in my DMing career, I don't really allow dragons to stand and fight. If they know that they're not having the advantage, or that they have a chance of being severely harmed, they always have an exit strategy. And she had her exit strategy, but it went between the casting of slow on her so that she couldn't output as much power as she could, and she just couldn't shake it. Yeah, it was pretty impressive, and it was a great fight. And 6 hours of content that were created from this. So one thing is that I didn't really expect them to beat Saba, so I did not create a treasure trove for them. So I figured you guys would like to see, one, how everything went. That was the important part. And if you do have questions about how it went, go ahead and ask in the comments. I can answer more specifics going on with that. I also do periodic streams with Dawn Forgecast. If you're not subscribed over there, do so. He's on YouTube, and he is a player in these West Marches campaigns. So often conversations, we phrase it in the "What were you thinking?" It's the name of the series that we do, and over there we talk about it from player and DM perspective, and sometimes vice versa, on what was going on in your mind, and what was the plan going into it. So it's a very interesting conversation about how to DM from both perspectives, and it's really good to have 2 people that are effectively, especially with DFC involved, a very renowned and capable DM. Being able to weigh in on the conversation from a player's perspective, so it's a really good time. But yeah, if you have questions, let me know. I will answer them in regards to this, because you saw the setup video, and then I gave you a brief synopsis on what happened in it. So, but until then, let's do a quick treasure. So I'm a stickler for basic rules, so I actually just use the DMG for most of my stuff, to include treasure hoard stuff. So I use Fantasy Grounds. I love Fantasy Grounds. If you're not using it, that's fine. But I really do love the application. It's very powerful, and does a lot for what I need it to do. All right, so let's see what we got. It looks like it did not. It dropped a lot of art objects, which makes sense. I might have to sprinkle in 1 or 2 magic items or weapons, because it did not drop a lot of those. And I like to do that. I like to take the basics of what it rolls, and then just enhance it and fine tune it based on the NPC that was collecting it. So for the basics, that I really don't care about doing the hard work of like finding the numbers and things like that. We'll do the literal coinage that she had there. So she would have had, it says 10,000 GP, 2,100 platinum. Yeah. And I always struggle with whether I should make those numbers less round, because it would make sense that her treasure wouldn't be exactly this number. But it's also easier to gamify it and say it's a round number for them to use. So I'd actually be curious what a lot of you guys think, because I would hope that a lot of you are new DMs or new players or something along those lines, and even for the veterans on both sides. Let me know what you prefer. Do you prefer seeing round numbers for ease of use, or do you prefer kind of a little bit more of that gravity of having these weird numbers there? We use digital media, so it's not like it's so difficult for it just to add into your inventory. But let me know. For right now, I'm going to keep it round, and we'll see what you guys say about it. On top of that, there was a vial of oil of sharpness in there, which we'll take a gander at that. Da, 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 da. Okay, so you coat it to give it an hour of a +3. You basically make a temporary +3 weapon. That's pretty cool. I like that. I like that. There is a potion of supreme healing in there. That's nice. All right. And then there are a bunch of art objects that are worth, it looks like majority of them are worth 750 gold pieces each. Which I really like that they added into it for just like core rules for the DMG, that they added art objects. So it's not just coinage that they're finding basically antiquity or beautiful pieces of art that these NPCs might have had in treasure troves. Which is nice because it gives them another way of having income, but also that gravity of it's like, well, it's just not everybody's just straight liquid and didn't have interesting things inside their layers. So it looks like we rolled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these objects, and they're all 750. All right, it's so times 5. And these are, might just be easier for me to just put these in a parcel so that I don't have to type these out. So I'll probably do that. I'll probably go back onto Fantasy Grounds and then just create a parcel with all this stuff so that they see it. No, because I think I'm going to give these to them via a message on the board, so I probably should type them out. Okay, so there is a painted gold war mask, 2 small gold idols, a harp with ivory inlay, and zircon gems. There is a cork embossed with gold leaf and set with amethysts, so it's like a bottle stopper. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, perfect. So we have that. Yeah. All right. I also wanted to. I also really wanted to add an NPC that they could talk to, because I like the idea that, and I think it even talks about it in the monster manual. The monster manual, that the green dragons, they collect people as well. They collect people that they find interesting. And so with that, I need to find a way to connect it. Basically, this will be a thread for another story arc. I'm really tempted because I already have 2 seeds planted for the same story arc where they go to a vampire's castle over here, Castle von Karstein. And I'm really tempted that Saba abducted one of von Karstein's subjects. Really tempted for that. I think I'm going to go with that one. That's what I'm excited about. I want them pointed that direction anyways, so a third through line, and this would also increase the give them more information about this and actually send them directly there instead of just having hints everywhere. So I think this is a good one. So vampire servant NPC. Now, should they be a vampire? My guess is probably they should be some low vampire, like a vampire spawn or something like that. I'll go. We're gonna have that. That's gonna happen. I'll do it a little bit off camera about who they are. It's really just this is the capability of me giving them information on what is going on there. I'm debating on whether or not the NPC will be terribly forthright with the information. The party is at a level now to where they can force information out of people by magical means, so NPCs don't have to be terribly helpful to them. This might be something that I'll struggle with a little bit, but the likelihood of it is after I give this information, so instead of wasting your time by me actually hemming and hawing over right now, I'll give you what I landed on when I'm writing for the castle, because likely if I give them this information, I will have to write out the entire castle anyways, which means, I'll be back on here doing that with you guys. So, all right. And yeah. So as for magic items, I'll tell you what, if there's any ideas that you guys think that magic weapons or magic items that would make sense for a green dragon to have on them, let me know in the comments. I'll give it about 2 days after upload. And if you guys have any really cool ideas, I might take those. But otherwise, I'll probably just look at some stuff, and I'll probably throw it in the video where I do the castle prepping. I'll throw in what I gave them additionally, in case you guys are curious about that. But yeah, that's how it went. And this is how I do treasure troves. I just do random. If you don't have fantasy rounds, it's fine. It does it automatically for me if I roll based on the CR. But for you guys, you can just take up your DMG and then just roll each table and write down things. And that's how I used to do it before I used fantasy grounds. So don't feel as if you have to use these applications. It just, for me, it was instantaneous almost to do it. But I do like the treasure trove or the treasure hoard tables. I really do. But let me know how you guys do them. If you have any better ways or methods that you prefer. Again, I do, on top of rolling those, will often throw a couple things in here, tweak what's in there. So, yeah. Hopefully this is a quick one. I think I rambled on about quite a few things, but something to watch. If you guys have any ideas on anything else, let me know. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you next time.